What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Small Town Roofer Podcast. Today we have Nick Branon with Hero Roofing. How are you today, Nick?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. As I was saying before we jumped on, I just wrapped up a sales tax audit and for the state of West Virginia, and I'm glad to kind of finally put that behind me. For some reason, they've drug their feet on that thing. It's literally been going on pretty much this entire year. And they did find a couple things. They found that we weren't charging sales tax on repairs, and not paying for those, but they require us to charge for them. So they billed me $20-some thousand to pay for sales tax that I never charged for. So that kind of stung a little bit, but at least it's behind us now. We know better going forward doing repairs. We can charge for that. So, but yeah, I guess let's start this kind of by giving us. I mean, I've looked at your website, kind of looked you up on Google. Obviously, I believe you're still a ProLine user, so I got a little insight from AJ, and I think you're in Atlanta, correct?
Yeah, South Metro Atlanta. We're about 35 minutes south of the Atlanta airport. So, and we service all of Metro Atlanta, basically.
Yeah, so you're close to the ProLine headquarters down there then.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, cool. I was down there not long ago. We had a meeting and AJ and I shot a podcast together while I was down there. But funny enough, he's calling me now. We'll call him later. But let's start by basically getting a little bit of background about how you got into the roofing industry, how long ago that was, and kind of the journey of getting it to the point it is today. Because it looks like Hero Roofing's, really, really doing well. So I'd love to hear kind of how you got to that point.
Yeah, Scott, thank you. So I started in the roofing industry probably a lot like a lot of people. I just kind of fell into it and was given an opportunity in 2017. I was working for a sports bar restaurant chain that's local to the Atlanta area called Taco Mac, and it's got like 100 beers on the wall. And I was a server bartender. That's where I met my wife, and we had a newborn baby, so I was trying to get out of work until 3 o'clock in the morning and wanted some stability. And so I just thought I was going to end up in sales that had to do with alcohol, just because that was the industry I was currently in. And now I'm so glad I'm far from all that stuff. But nobody was hiring me because of it. I didn't have any experience in sales and things like that, which a really good bartender knows that sales and customer service all day long. And someone on Facebook I knew was hiring for a roofing sales rep, and I Facebook messaged him. And he pretty much was like, "Yeah, man, I'll hire you." Like, just hired me off of Facebook. And I knew the guy. So the next day at the bar, I was talking to all my regulars about I'm gonna do roofing sales. This guy's like, "Oh, I got a rental property that I'm gonna have to put a roof on. You come check it out." And so the owner of that company that was hiring me met me at that house. He's like, "Hey, this is what wind damage looks like. Here's your boots. Here's your ladder. You're a professional now." And that was like the gist of my training. It was like 1 hour, and I worked for him for about 7 months. I did about $740,000 in sales in 7 months. And that was back when, it was 250 a square on average. So it was a lot. Yeah. I did a lot of volume, self-educated. I door knocked like crazy. Started following now he's became one of my best friends, Deshaun Bryant with Roof Hustlers. I started following his stuff that's when he was just now really creating YouTube content on YouTube. And we ended up being the first company when I opened my business that he trained in the state of Georgia. So that was pretty neat. But so after about 7 months, I kind of just felt like what the industry was lacking. Decent business. He's still in business. Good. He was about an hour and a half from my area anyways. And so I was kind of definitely helping him financially. But the other thing that he was never coming down servicing the customers. I was taking care of the whole process with his clients. And what I realized, at least in Georgia, what the industry lacked was customer experience and customer service. And I kept getting told with homeowners roofing's got such a bad rep. We're scared to hire a roofer. They're going to take our money, all this stuff. And so that's where I kind of came up with the slogan, "Your Roof Hero." Like, I want to be like a hero in the industry. I want to help people. And we joke around like we're the hero among the zeros. Like, we don't advertise it, but we always just joke around and say stuff like that. But like, our slogan is, "Your Roof Hero." And we get branded, like people think like, oh, they ask me as an owner, like, "Oh, were you military or were you law enforcement?" And no, and I'm not, and I wasn't. I've been fortunate enough to hire a lot of military and veterans and people that were in law enforcement, but really our business name and our brand is based on providing that hero-like service and being a hero in our own community. And so we started in November of 2018. with $1,400. My dad was actually my business partner. He's got like 25, 30 years experience in sheet metal, mechanical work, commercial and industrial. And he started with me because I kind of wanted to bring him on, wanted the commercial experience that, someone that knows their stuff around production, but also, kind of gave me a little bit of a safety net, I felt like. And then I was trying to accomplish my end goal was to kind of set my dad up and retire him. I watched him work really hard his whole life. Like sheet metal work I think last time I checked, the workers' comp and sheet metal is higher than roof. Like it's a very dangerous job. And he did that for 30 years. So I was like, come on, be an owner, be on the other side of the business. And hopefully I can retire you. And so he actually just retired June 1st of this year.
Good for him. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. So when you decided to pull the trigger and start your own thing, was the company that you were working for, were they not doing things right, or were they a real good company? You just wanted to kind of better yourself further, or how was that transition?
I think it was a little bit of overall, he wasn't doing things wrong. He wasn't going out and doing shady business. There were some things that ethically I didn't align with, but I felt like after 7 months working there, I've already surpassed the company I was working. He only had 2 other sales reps. I had the most sales in the company. I was generating the most business. He kind of maxed out my commission pretty quick, and I still just felt like I was doing so much of the process that it was like I was kind of running my own business under his name and not want to say making less money. I didn't feel that way about it, but I just felt like there was a huge gap in customer experience from me dealing with the customer to the actual owner of the business, the actual company. And if I called him with a huge issue, he wasn't going to call the customer and deal with that problem. Like it was going to be me. He would order the material for me, but I'd manage my own build. I would, still door knock to all that, but I was registering the customer's warranties. I was, taking the checks to the bank. I was doing everything under the sun. And there was just still like from the company side, a big lack of customer experience. And so like a hero, our whole company is founded around the customer experience from the time they call in to the time they closed out, which keeps like our number one source of leads is referrals. And we also do a lot of previous customers, where they got multiple properties or they're like, hey, we want to get gutters now or chimney cap or whatever it is. I mean, we keep such a tight knit community with our clients because the way we treat them through the process. It's not, most roofing companies is very transactional. They get paid, they get in, they get out. They move on. 5 years later, yes, the homeowner, who did your roof? They're like, I don't know, I don't remember. And I always meant things like I want to leave an everlasting impression on somebody. I mean, we can truly change a little bit, make little bit of a difference in someone's life when we're doing the roof.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, we have a very, very similar mindset in how we operate our business. That's for sure. Because for me, it's all about just taking care of the homeowner, high integrity, doing things right, even going above and beyond, like you said, just to try to do those things. But what it sounds like to me was basically you found your worth. It's not necessarily about money or whatever you said, but you found that you were worth more to yourself being self-employed than working for somebody else. And here's the thing, that's the beauty of self-employment. You find out real freaking quick. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously you were right. And because you're running a successful business now, but I see it all the time locally here. And that was where I came from. I mean, I had a background in this stuff. I built homes and did exterior remodel stuff. But, at the end of the day, the company I was working for was not even in the same sector as an oil and gas. But, I was putting in so much effort, so much time, doing so many things, but not valued for what I was doing, I felt like. And I thought, you know what, I'll just go do something else on my own. I'll find out if I'm worth that. I wanted to make, 150 grand a year. They wouldn't pay me anywhere close to that. So, well, I'm going to see if I can make it myself. And sure as shit, it took 2 years. The second year, I got to that point. And then here we are 10 years later and things are really going well. But yeah, if you know that you're worth more to self-employed than you are as a employee, it just makes sense to give it a shot. But you see the other side happen way more times than that. I think they say about 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And I can 100% testify to that 5-year mark because it was a grind, like a complete grind the first 5 years. And then as soon as we crossed that 5 year mark, I don't know why. I don't know if there's a spell on you until 5 years or what, but as soon as we like hit 5 years, shit just got easy. Like, oh, that's that. That's why this does this. That's why I need to put time into this, need to delegate this. Everything just started clicking then. But man, the first 4 or 5 years, oh my God, what a grind they were. So congratulations to the success. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your website, because I was looking at it and I think it's fantastic. yourroofhero.com. It looks great. One of the things that I really like on it that I'm be honest with you, I'm going to take a chapter out of your book, is all of your badges, is what I'll call them. Like your directory badge, your GA, we're GAF Master Leads as well. All those awards that you've gotten, best in Georgia, best in Atlanta, whatever, all of those stickers that you've got over the last few years that are, basically front and center of your homepage. Tell us a little bit about what you think that provides to your customer. And I know some of those awards, we've won some of that stuff, like best in the MOV, which is Middle High Valley, some of that stuff. And I know truly that there's the competition is just, as long as I got enough friends voting for me, I'm going to do well. But I think there is a value to the customer as well. What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, well, 100%. Well, like in Georgia, it's too easy to pop up shop. And I think that's not the only state. Georgia's not the only state where they make it too easy for people to be in business. But when you're working in a very saturated market, we call it pull away. When we're talking to a customer, what's everything we can do that pulls ourselves above and away from that so-called competitor that they're trying to price? Because we're not the same. I don't care. Like my appointment I got today at 3. I'm going this one of my newer sales guys. He got this lead on his own, and the guy's pricing us, and it's a big 92 square roof. He's pricing us against some other competitors. He's like, yeah, he's got GAF component materials too. He's got 10-year warranty as well. And I'm like, well, dude, we're not the same. You may be looking at it on paper, but let me show you what separates us from them. What makes us different? And I tell homeowners, like, it's my favorite thing to say to them is like, what do you think it takes to be a roofer in Georgia? And they're like, I don't know what. I was like, nothing. They just look at me. I'm like, they just need $100 LLC and some insurance. And 90% of them have ghost policies. They got an insurance that excludes them as the owner, and that they're not paying any payroll. So when something does hit the family, you got legit insurance on your home. I said, so what separates Hero from the rest of us is, yes, we're a GF Master League. We decided to try to be the best of the best with our manufacturer. That puts us in the top, 2% in the nation. We won best of Georgia. We're only roofer to do that the last 2 years in a row. We won best of Coweta. So we say it's like, hey, this is the peace of mind you get hiring us. And so when they're looking at websites and they see all that on our website and they go to the other roofer and it just looks like a standard website and ain't much on that thing, like they're going to already feel more comfortable with our business because of that. Like, all right, this guy's more credited. He's got more accolades. We strive for those accolades. Like I grew up in a mentality, like I grew up in martial arts. Not everybody wins a trophy. I'll go do a competition. One guy loses, everybody else is on the second, third, and below the podium, right? It's the same thing like in business. Is like, I want to strive and get those accolades and those awards so I can say I'm the best. I got a competitor. Their name is Georgia's best roofer. And, I'll leave it at that. Like, but
you got the award that says
it. Yeah, like you can use whatever marketing strategy you want, but at the end of the day, like the homeowner needs to know that they need to feel comfortable with who they're hiring, and you got to, in a saturated market, you got to do everything you can to stand apart and pull yourself away from the so-called competitors. And that's the same way we sell. Like we sell on, connection, value, and education. And our value is like it depends. Every homeowner is different, but like for us, like what makes us more valuable than hiring somebody else, And because when it comes down to the price, if you're going to get someone to pay more to use you, like, better be a really good reason.
Yeah, and for sure. And in this market right now, even if, just to get the customer to pull the trigger with everything seeming to be fairly tight, money is not being spent like it has been the past few years. It seems like people are really kind of clamping down on their wallets a little bit. You really, really got to go the extra mile to prove that you are the real deal. You're going to do what you're saying you're going to do, and then follow through with that customer service. But I think what you said, I preach a lot, is to my guys, is education. And, I got one guy in particular, and as far as a salesman goes, he's really not a salesman. Like, he's just not, he doesn't have the people skills that a lot of sales guys have. He's just not, he's just a quiet guy, but he's the smartest freaking guy in our company by a fair amount. And when I say smart, I mean about the product he sells. Like, he's so well-rounded, so educated between installation, warranty, all of it. He understands everything about product he sells. And he closes at just as high of a rate as the guys that I've got that are natural sales guys, because he does get, like, he gets in front of the customer and he gives them a full education. Those homeowners understand roofing when he leaves, and it's like, people love to be able to learn about the product that they're getting ready to spend, thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on at one time. So one other thing I noticed on your website, and I don't know how current it is, but it looks like you've got a pretty large team.
Yeah. It's actually super. We just updated it.
Okay, well, cool. It looks freaking awesome, but I didn't want to misspeak, but it looks like you've got quite the team there, quite a few sales guys, a GM, a few different things going on. Explain to me a little bit about the structure of, kind of how you got to that point, as far as, as a CEO, hiring a GM, kind of their responsibilities, and then kind of down that funnel of how that works.
Yeah, definitely. So the first thing I was to say with our website, your About Me page is like the third most visited page on someone's website. Like, we just ran analytics on our website last week, and our About Me I think it was the second or third where people spent the most time. So we're actually going to build out little bios on everybody too. And someone else like kind of told me like, oh, you may not want all these people on your page. I'm like, no, I want them to take time to learn who's at our company. And it resonates too. Like, if you got a referral and they go, oh, that's, let's say that's Austin that so-and-so talked about. He's right here on the, he's a veteran Marine. Like, it just makes people feel more comfortable. So we love having that that's my favorite page on our site. And we just update all of our headshots. But what I did when I first started business was me and my dad, right? So he was running job orders and supervising the build, and I was doing the books, the accounting, I was doing the sales. If you can tell Scott, I was giving him the easier job. I'm just kidding. But we divided everything up. And what we did as we grew, you take this full list of everything you have to do in the business. And I wrote it and typed it out. What's every single thing you have to do every day? From answering phone calls, processing checks, everything. I wrote it all down. And as we start growing, like, I think our first hire was a job manager. Moved my dad into the office on doing those orders. And then we hired a sales rep that would manage and knock and do things. And then the next hire was a receptionist. Our first receptionist didn't work out too well. Then we hired Alicia as office manager receptionist, and she's now the general manager. So I gave her a big list. I'm like, hey, this is everything we need you to do every day. And as those, and you have to fill this as a business owner, as those buckets or folders you want to, as they grow, like let's say just warranties, for example, at first, we may register a warranty a day. But down the road, you may need someone that just does warranties. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's a problem you want to have. Like, and there's a lot of, building a big team, like, it does so much for the community. You know what I mean? It widens your scope as a business, but you're given, the more jobs that we're fulfilling in our own community. I mean, that's always a plus. But what we did is you take all these responsibilities and you give it to a person, and as those responsibilities, as things start to grow, then you divvy it up. So, like, for example, production now, where one person was doing all of our production, we now have a field operations manager and a production coordinator, and then we have job site supervisors. So because those tasks that used to take a couple minutes a day, now one task may take an hour, and that person has 8 tasks to do per day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just felt that need and started breaking it up to where we're at the business size we are. But yeah, we basically talking about structure. It's myself. I'm focused on the growth and the sales of the business. You know what I mean by that? Like, growth opportunities, help a little bit with the marketing, help with the sales team. Then we have our general manager, who is Alicia. And like I said, she started answering phones, and she's just put in the efforts, and she's been very successful. She puts her nose down and grinds, and she's has management experience. So she's managing the day-to-day operations. She's overseeing the different departments, checking with people. She helps with the accounting, the books, processing checks, paying people, all the stuff you have to do as a business owner, I hate doing. She does it for me. And then we have our sales manager, operations manager I told you about, project coordinator. We have 2 inside salespeople, 9 outside salespeople, and then my wife is our event director. So she's got a cool job. She's a part-time with us. And then we're hiring right now a receptionist that's going to field the call, because currently inside sales does reception, and we're getting to the point where we need to field calls, and that person's also going to be helping with marketing. But yeah, I mean, it's grown. Sales supports the growth of the office. Without sales, you can't grow an office. So that's always everybody's first thing is like, once you grow your sales team, then you can grow the rest.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So we have a fairly small team. I've got an admin and then a few sales guys. And our sales currently we're still running a cradle to grave system where they sell it, they manage a project, they collect a check, they drop it at the office, right? So we're looking to make some strides next year. It's been very, very good for us. I mean, last year we did about $7 million in revenue with 4 employees. So it's a really lean business that we've found success in, but we are wanting to take some strides at growing a team. How do you keep track of all of it? You've got a lot of people, a lot of moving parts. Are you in communication with a lot of your staff on a daily basis? Are you just in contact with the managers and 100% delegate to them, to the guys that are, I don't like the term, beneath them in the food chain? How do you manage all of that?
Yeah. So a book that changed me was Jocko's Dichotomy of Leadership. Can you hear me well now?
Yeah, I got you. We'll edit that out.
Okay.
You go ahead.
Yeah. So our, Dichotomy of Leadership was a book I read that kind of changed my life. And on that was the chain of, working up and down the chain of command. And so, yeah, I'll delegate thing. Like if it's an operations thing, I'll tell James, okay, make sure job supervisors are doing this and vice versa. And the same thing with the sales manager. Like, hey, can you make sure you're getting right alongside with the sales reps? This is what we should be striving for and succeeding. And so, yeah, I'm able to talk to 3 or 4 people, and then they can delegate that down, and versus, and they delegate back up. We do evaluations. I sit down with employees. I'm in the office almost every day, so I stop in and talk to people. I'm still there for everybody. Always open to grab lunch with employees as well. But I try to let the managers of those departments manage the people under them.
Yeah. The last question on this subject, and then we'll move on, is I noticed a lot of these guys' title is Roof Hero, which I think is fantastic, and I'm pretty sure it's similar to our Roof Pros, is what we call them.
Yeah.
Are those your outside sales guys?
They are. So
Okay.
a lot of times in our industry, when a homeowner hears they get a sales rep coming to their house, they think they're there to sell them stuff, and that gives them a negative feeling about that person showing up. So we want them to know, like, hey, this is someone coming out to serve you, to do their job. At the end of the day, yeah, they are selling a service, but there's a reason they want to sell it to you versus somebody else.
Yeah. So what you've done is you've white labeled the salesman term into your brand, which I think is fantastic. We just call them, like on our business cards and everywhere that the guys are at, we just call them Roof Pros. And
I love that.
Try to get, and we just get away from the term salesman altogether, because we're not salesmen. Like we're not salesmen. We're not a car salesman that's coming out and haggling with you, and there is no negotiation. There's none of that. Like, we want to come out, educate you on the product that we offer, because if we're there, you probably need that product and the service involved. And we just want to educate you, make sure you understand, that there are, people that aren't going to take care of you, the process that we implement to make sure you're taken care of, and then, the overall, journey of kind of how that all works. So it's not really, it is sales for us, but for the homeowner, we don't want to be a salesman to our homeowner. So we don't even want to call ourselves that, because they just get a bad feel with it. So yeah,
exactly. And I always tell people, like, none of our technicians or roof heroes or sales guys, none of them actually came from a sales background. No, I don't hire anybody if they say, hey, I got 5 years experience at a car dealership, or they're coming from another roofing company. I don't hire them. All over, like, our number one guy was a police officer for 16 years. Our other top guys, firemen. Like, I find people that have the work ethic and the personality, and train them on our processes. I've never wanted to be the company with that gives you that, what you're talking about, that sleazy sales vibe where, they don't want to be pressured by Erie Roofing at their house for 6 hours and they're just wanting this guy to leave. We just signed a homeowner up and I call them out. I don't care. But Erie Roof, sold a 95-year-old man an $80,000 metal roof. The power attorney got involved. He's like, dude, I'm actually the trustee of this house. Like this, you guys pressured him into a sale. Like you're at his house for 6 hours. He wouldn't leave. And he's able to cancel the contract and he signed up with us. But we don't want to be that company in that industry. And I think a lot of companies get too bent out of shape on just wanting to get sales numbers and they forget about that customer and what the customer's needs are.
Yeah, for sure. Because I deal with it. I mean, and I'm sure you deal with it. Like that's just part of it. Is for us, we do, and you might have alleviated this pain point with having a production team, but with us doing the cradle to grave, I have to be very, very careful overloading a certain rep with too much sales, because what their focus is selling. They want to sell because that's how they get paid. They're straight commission. So they don't want to go take care of that callback issue that came a month later or 2 months later or whatever it is. They don't want to deal with that callback issue. So it gets put at the lowest end of the priority list. And for me, you cancel your shit for the day. That is the number one priority. You get a callback. That's our policy is any callbacks, any warranty issues have 24 hours to be resolved. I don't care if it's Sunday, Saturday, we've got 24 hours to resolve them. Obviously, unless it's something we got to order something on or something like that. But even in those cases, there better be a plan in place and being activated within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because these people have, at that point, they've paid us. They've received all their closeout packet. That now we got to prove that they made the right decision. Anybody can go nail a roof on, and hell, shingles are pretty easy. 9 out of 10 times, even shitty installers get by for a while. You know what I mean? But it's even when you're a good installer and there is a small issue, it's how quickly you address it to prove that you were, the right decision. And that's where you get referrals. We're the same way. We're like 60% referrals right now. That. And we don't do any like program. It's just people believe in us and have enjoyed the experience with us. We don't do anything extra for that. I just don't think referral programs work anyway. I think do a good job.
They don't. I can contest to that. We actually, for a 6-month stint, we tried to get the referral, and it was more a pain in the butt and a hassle than anything. And you were getting referrals from the wrong people for the wrong reasons. As soon as we cancel it, we get way more referrals now, and nobody's asking for anything from us just because they want to support a business that took care of them. And that's really what it boils down to. And like I told you, I think before we went live, is like referrals is first or second lead source. So yeah. And if you look at most roofing companies' bad reviews, it's usually from the callbacks. It's usually how they handled a situation after the job was done. And I tell that to the homeowner. I'm like, look, there's a reason we have all these 5-star reviews. We're not perfect. We're not machines. Roofers will make an error. Something, and even if your callbacks is 5%, if I do 1,000 projects, I may have, that 5% is very minimal, but it's still a good bit of jobs. And we're going to go and take care of that, like you said, as soon as you possibly can, because that's what speaks volume of your character and your business.
Yeah. Well, and I've got a good story on that. You were talking about Google reviews. I got a 1-star review earlier this year, and I think it's the only one we've ever gotten, if I remember correctly. I think it was the first one ever. And I think we're 4.9 stars on Google. So I think we've got a couple 4s or something like that. But regardless, we did a job for this fella like 3 years ago. Well, he called in and talked to the sales rep that sold him the job. Sales rep's still with me. And I didn't even get too upset about this because we did back then, it was a metal roof, screw down 5-rib metal, which I personally hate, but we sell a bunch of it in this market. Up here in the country, everybody thinks that screw down panel that belongs on a barn belongs on their house, but they buy it. And if we don't sell it, we're going to miss out on 40% of our sales. So we have to sell. But anyway, everything came with a 1-year turnkey warranty back then. And what it was, we just thought that was sufficient, because if you go through all 4 seasons, you got the freezes, the thaws, the snow, the heavy rains in the spring. We go through all 4 of those seasons one time. If you didn't have any issues, after that, it probably wasn't an install error, right? Like, you done experienced a full year of weather. So that's how we handled it a few years ago. We called in, the sales rep that answered the phone said, yeah, you only have a 1-year warranty on that. I can send, we have a full-time tech that he just does repairs or warranty work, mostly repairs, but he will go take care of warranty issues. But we have a service fee with him. We have a $500 minimum.
Right.
He's $500 to show up. So, and people think that that's a lot, but I don't make any money on those $500 ones.
No.
You know, it's literally, I did it just as a service to the community, hoping that, but then people bash me for charging him $500. But anyway, so he told me, he said, well, it'll be $500 to fix this. This guy just goes straight to Google and leaves us this shitty review. And I mean, he ran us through the mud, pal, like just not nice at all. These no good sons of bitch, you know what I mean? And I get it like immediately. And I'm like, and this was in an old CRM. This customer's even in our old CRM. So I got to go log into this old CRM, find all of his info, because, you know, Google doesn't give you any info other than the name.
Right.
So I finally look him up. I find him, and the number's disconnected. So he's not got the same phone number anymore. So I shoot him an email. I said, hey, this is what's going on. Please give me a call when you get a chance. Well, he called me, and he had a leak. Well, what happened was he was selling the house, and it failed the inspection. There was a spot on the roof that at the chimney that failed inspection. And so I said, I'll tell you what, let me come take care of this tomorrow. I said, I will personally come out and take care of this. Well, come to find out, the stains on his ceiling were from prior to us.
The roof install.
The roof install. We start looking at the home inspection stuff. The chimney issues is the cracked concrete cap on top. Has nothing to do with the roof system that we even put on. Like there's all the, and I'm thinking, damn, we didn't even make any mistakes here, and we got ran through the mud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went and got some upshot, painted his ceiling, blended them stains out to where it looked great. He was thrilled. I went up there, resealed all the boots, fixed a few little things that just, you know, touched the roof back up a little bit. He went in that night, changed his 1-star review to a 5-star review, and just sang our praises. You know, and it was like, I was there for an hour and literally didn't even really fix anything that was from our install. But, you know, that's just the point of taking care of customers. We've since changed our policy to we have a anything we touch is 5-year warranty, because we keep going back and fixing this shit or touching it up later anyway. It's like, let's just sell it because we're already doing it. I went and fixed a roof last year. It was 4 years old, and the wind blew a piece of ridge cap off, or, you know, 6 feet of ridge cap off. I went out and fixed it for free. Well, why don't I advertise that I offer a 5-year warranty? Because I literally take care of roofs for at least that long anyway, you know? So yeah, anyway, to your point, all of that, I kind of got off track a little bit, but yeah, just always take care of the customer, man. It doesn't matter when, you just take care of them and they pay you back. You know, we turned a 1-star review into a 5-star review in an hour, and it wasn't hard to do.
Exactly. And most of those people that get those, I've seen, because I'll look at, you always want to study so-called competition and see where they have gaps and holes in their business where you can capitalize. And so you'll see these companies, these 1-star reviews, they're arguing back with the person versus get the guy on the phone and just fix it. You know what I mean? And that's going to create so much more revenue for you. You're going to get a referral out of it down the road. And that's going to be a story that you can tell online. I'm on the same page with you there.
Well, and you know, the thing was that day, that sales rep had a ton of appointments. He already got paid for that job. And this is what I say about, you know, really hammering down on integrity and taking care of people, is because he was busy. He didn't want to dick with it. He didn't want to fool with this guy that was 3-year-old job that done paid, moved on. And that was a conversation we had to have, was like, no, you need to either forward that on to me, forward it on to Jennifer. Like, someone needs to address this if you don't have time to go take a look. But anyway, so before we get ready to wrap this thing up, one thing we were talking about before we started recording, and, you know, this is kind of trying to help myself a little bit while we chat, but it's a good talking point. You know, roofers don't want to connect and kind of share these thoughts and these ideas. And it's the craziest thing in the world. Like, there is no secret left. That, you know, Dimitri brought all this influencer type stuff into roofing. All the secrets are out there. He's got a ton of stuff. And then there's about 500 other guys that have a ton of stuff too. The secret's out.
Right.
Don't be afraid to share, you know, your thoughts, your strategies with other contractors. What we need to do as a group is elevate together, right? Because if even my guys here locally, I've got 4 or 5 decent contractors locally. I wish they would. I've tried to connect with them. None of them want to connect, but I wish they wanted to be a networking group. and let's talk about, problem customers. Let's talk about, pricing of things. I'm not saying we need to go all match our price sheet together, but let's get on the same page. I shouldn't be charging, $300 a square when everybody else is charging $500 a square. I'm cutting your throat, and nobody wins that way, right? So,
right.
This podcast, the goal is to bring other roofing contractors on here to where we can have good conversation, make a relationship, and then hopefully, share some ideas and strategies, just like you talking about your team and kind of how you structured that and built that. I'm sure someone will find that insightful. That's really, in the growing phase. So we struggle to get guests on this podcast because everybody's kind of scared to talk about it. Doesn't matter, you've got something to offer, even if it's your first year in business, because you run into shit that is a problem that somebody hasn't seen before, or you figured something out really early on that some of us guys that are doing, $5 to $10 million just still haven't got our head wrapped around yet. So, just wanted to throw that out there. But before we wrap up, do you got anything left you want to touch on before we wrap things up?
No, you hit the nail on the head there. And I remember going to one of Dimitri's conferences where Rodney Webb was a speaker. And I remember him saying, Rodney, why are you giving out these secrets? And he said, they ain't gonna listen anyways. And and that's kind of been, your vibe. People are so scared to share secrets. I can say some stuff so I'm blue in the face, and some of the other guys won't do it anyways. I have competitors that watch what we do on a daily, and they don't adapt it to their business, and they lose jobs to us, because they don't adapt. And I think what the industry needs is that top, the guys that are doing what you're doing and that are doing things the right way. It's the top 1% of the industry, right? And while Dimitri's group looks big, it's actually really small. And we do need more people speaking on what elevates the industry and what helps businesses grow. And there's things that I can speak of that somebody, in your market can learn from, and vice versa. There's stuff I wrote down something about your 24-hour callback while we were talking. You can learn something from anybody. And that's what grows. Little things make big movement in your business. I helped I coached a couple of businesses. I helped a guy with something that was so small. When he did the math, he saved $100,000 a year. So we got to continue to have someone to lean on and support. This is a difficult industry. It's stressful. I feel like I've been in growing pains since the day I've opened, and it's been a roller coaster of a business. We've had really good, really profitable years. We've had years where it's been very tight, and it's nice to have people to speak with on that and to learn from them. And I'm always, as I coach people that are coming up below me, right? But I'm always looking for someone above me to coach that I can learn from. I need to learn from the guy that's, if I'm doing 1,000 projects, what's the guy that's doing 2,000 projects a year doing different than me, and how to learn from them. And I promise you, I'm not going to go hurt him by him helping me, right? And in my market, for example, you talk about your market, dude. There's enough for everybody to eat. There's enough business to go for, and I can go across the street and be the best roofer and have the best price, and give the homeowner everything that from A to Z. But they may just like the next guy more and use him just because they like him. And we lose jobs you lose jobs like that all the time. And so there's what I say is, you can't be the only contractor in town,
No.
And if you could, you wouldn't be able to keep up. So
Right.
You wouldn't want those problems. You would never get to sleep.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. It's lonely at the top, and the top is just running a successful business, and whatever your measure of success is, that doesn't matter if it's a $1 million, 10 million, 100 million. Once you've hit a level to where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable, I've got a good business, I'm making profit, things are working. It gets lonely up there. There's not a lot of people that get to that point, and then there's even a smaller amount that want to have a discussion with you about that. So yeah, overall, I think it's building that network of people that are in your situation is just a big deal, and I think people just need to take more effort in doing it. But anyway, we'll get ready to wrap things up here, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad you learned a little piece off me, because I learned a couple great things off you. So it's always great to have those kinds of conversations. So I do appreciate that, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us a little bit today. I know you got an inspection to go do, so I will let you go. But Nick, thanks a lot.
First, thank you.
Yeah, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Small Town Roofing Podcast. Have a great day.